Hello, I'm Seema from Edufinite. Learning the difference between memorize, remember and remind will clear the dilemma, and using them correctly in written sentences will enhance your writing skills. So, are you ready? Let's delve into the topic. Well, today our topic is memorize, remember and remind. We'll know when and where to use them. Okay, first let's look into the meanings and then we'll make sentences with them to understand them much better. Okay, the meanings first. Now, memorize. It functions as a verb and it means to learn by heart by repeating them over and over again. So when you repeat something over and over again, you study and you memorize it, or you learn it by heart, that is memorizing. Or you can say to put information into one's memory. So it's like, feeding a computer with some data. So that data, you feed it into your brain. So that's how it is to put information into one's memory. Okay, the next word is remember. And it also functions as a verb and it means to recall or to have something in one's memory and he or she pulls it out when required. So you have it there in your memory. You have it there and when required, you recall back. That means you remember it. That is remembering. Next we have remind. So this also functions as a verb and cause someone to remember someone or something. So when some external force helps you to remember something, that is remind. Now let's make sentences to understand them. An actor has to memorize his lines before he starts shooting his film. So yes, an actor is given a script and he cannot have the script in front of him when he is acting, when the recording is taking place. So when the shooting goes on, so what he has to do, he has to put it into his head. He has to memorize it. So that is memorize. Okay, the next one is I had to memorize all the formulas before the exam. Of course, before your maths exam, you have to memorize. That means you have to learn by heart all the formulas because you'll have to give your exams. If it's not there in your head, you won't be able to recall them back. So you won't be able to solve your sums. You have to score good marks. So naturally, you'll have to memorize your formulas before your maths exam. Next, if you don't concentrate and memorize now, you won't be able to remember anything when you give your exam. Just as I told you, you have to concentrate and memorize whatever you're studying. Otherwise, you won't be able to remember anything when you give your exams. When you're writing your paper, you have to remember them. So in order to remember, what you have to do, the day before or the night before, you have to memorize. The next one is, please remember to carry the keys with you before you leave. So you have to remember. That means you have to keep in mind that before you leave the house, you'll have to take the keys with you. Next, you have Mohit remembered that he forgot to feed his pet before he left for his office. So maybe Mohit went to his office and then suddenly he recalled, oh my God, I've forgotten to feed my pet. So that is to remember. You recall, you yourself understand, or you yourself, from your memory, you recollect or you remember that you have done something or you haven't done something. That is remembering. My mother told me to remind her to have her medicines. So my mother, she's getting old, so sometimes she forgets. So for that reason, she told me to remind her. That means, to nudge her, mom, please take your medicine. So that way she'll be able to recall, okay, I'll have to take my medicine. That is, an external force is being used. The external force is myself. I am the external force for my mother to remember that she has to take her medicine. So when an external reminder or an external, force is applied to recall your memory, that is reminding. The next one is, Michael reminded his younger brother to memorize the poem for his elocution competition or else he won't remember it. So Michael reminded means Michael alerted his younger brother. What? To memorize. That means learn by heart the poem for his elocution competition. Why? or else he won't remember it. So when he'll be competing the next day in a school, what will happen? He has to have it in his head. So if he doesn't remember his piece, then he won't be able to execute it. So for that reason, Michael reminded his younger brother to memorize the poem for his elocution competition, or else he won't remember it. Okay, the next one. Remember not to cast your vote if you are younger than 18 years of age. So yes, voting starts from the age of 18. So please remember, if you're not 18 years of age, you're not to vote. Okay, next. This place reminds me of my childhood. Yes. So the place, maybe it's a new place where I've been, and that place is similar to some place where I was in my childhood, where I've spent my childhood. So looking at that place, I'm recalling back those happy, moments of, or happy days of my childhood. So that is how the place reminds me of my childhood. Okay. Please remind me in the afternoon to pay my mobile bill. So maybe I've told my office colleague or someone, at home that I'll pay the phone bill or my mobile bill in the afternoon. So I might forget because I'm too much preoccupied with my work. So just to remind me, that means to tell me that you have to pay your bill. Oh, then I'll remember. Okay, yeah. I have to pay my bill. So I'll pay my bill then. Okay, next. Rita suddenly remembered that she was supposed to pick up her son from his school. So Rita, maybe she was busy or engrossed with her work in office, and she was supposed to pick up her son from his school. But it just slipped out of her mind, and suddenly she looked at her watch. Oh my God, I've just forgotten. I have to go and pick up my son. So Rita suddenly remembered, that means she recalled, that she was supposed to pick up her son from his school. Okay, the next one. Please memorize the names of your students before teaching them. So, yes, the teacher should memorize and familiarize herself with the names of the students that she is going to teach. That way, it becomes easy to communicate. So, that's memorizing. Okay, yes. Now we have a little quiz to test your understanding. Okay, the first one is, my mother, while cooking, blank that she has to book for a cylinder. Out of these three words, which one is correct, do you think? Which one will fit there? Yes, it's remembered. My mother, while cooking, remembered that she has to book for a cylinder. Next we have, you cannot blank your task without concentrating. You cannot blank your task without concentrating. So what you cannot do? So what do you think? Memorize, yes. You cannot memorize your task without concentrating. So if you have to memorize something, you have to concentrate, because if you're not concentrating, then you won't be able to put it into your head. So if you want to put it into your head, you have to concentrate. Okay, the next one. Blank me to turn off the main switch before we leave for our trip. So naturally, I'm telling someone, when you tell someone to help you out, then it's of course remind. So yes, remind me to turn off the main switch before we leave for our trip. So yes, that's all for today. Hope it was helpful. Hope the lesson was useful. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section. I'll be back with a new video soon. Till then, take care, stay safe, and be happy.